Hi, my name is Mark Jeffrey, and you are listening to episode 1 of the Mark Jeffrey podcast show, brought to you by MPC Solutions. Hello and thank you for joining me. My name is Mark Jeffrey and it is the 8th of February 2017, recording my new podcast show live from the studio on the hill here in the county of Cornwall in a small village called Landrake. And it is really good to be putting this podcast out for you at long last. It's something that I've been considering doing now since before Christmas, and I've finally grabbed the bull by the horns and said to myself, right, that's it. Tonight I'm sitting down and I'm going to talk to you guys and tell you what it's all about. Well, before I go into much detail and depth about what the podcast is going to be all about, I think it's about time that I told you a little bit about myself. Well, my name is Mark Jeffrey. I'm 39 years old, and I have 2 children. I'm a family man. I've got 2 children. My oldest is called Zach. He's 6 years old. My youngest is the cheeky little chap by the name of Ethan. He's a handful. He's 3 years old. And we live in a small little village in Cornwall, in England, a place called Landrake. Beautiful little setting of a place. And like I say, by day I am a postman, and on a Monday night I'm a radio presenter for an internet radio station called NCB Radio. But it didn't all start there. I only got into radio and the media of radio about 3 years ago. It all started off really when I was about 9-10 years old, going back many moons ago. I had a couple of friends of mine that was interested in the old Citizens Band radio, you know, the old CB, Breaker, 1-9 and all that lot. And me and my friend Ian, we used to go out on the CB talking to that, and I was just like, yeah, I'm quite interested in that. And over the years and years of doing that, I became more and more interested in it, and got my own setup at home, and parents' house had a flipping great CB aerial wafting in the wind, and spent loads of money, all my paper brown money on CB equipment, until I got about the age of 13. I would have said it was, about 16, and discovered girls. That's right, discovered girls, and the CB equipment got taken down, and the antenna and the CB got chucked in the cupboard, and that was basically it until about 6 years ago. I moved into a small house in Saltash with my girlfriend Nikki and Zach at the time, that was about 3 years old, and dug out the CB. Found the CB, dug it out the wardrobe, put the antenna up, and within a year started getting into bigger and better things. Amateur radio. Anybody ever heard of amateur radio? Well, it's also known as ham radio, and you operate on HF and VHF, and talk to people all around the world. Very interesting hobby. But again, it wasn't enough. My love has always been radio. It has always been a love of mine for years and years, since I was a little kid, and always wanted to be a radio presenter. Throughout school, always wanted to be a radio presenter, talk to my friends time and time again about how I wanted to be a radio presenter, but never actually had the balls to go for it until I was on maternity leave, I think it was, with my second child, Ethan. So that would have been about 3 years ago. Sat there over night time, once Ethan was in bed, bored with nothing to do, chatting to people on the internet, on Facebook, and going on YouTube and digging out lots of music and sharing it with my friends. And a couple of my friends said, Jaff, why don't you chase up a career in radio presenting? And I was just like, well, I have thought about it a bit now. I'd never be any good at doing stuff like that. Until one day, a friend of mine twisted my finger and said, go for it. So I put the feelers out. I got in contact with a local station, which was in Plymouth, and they were called Eat Music, and it was a community internet radio station. And I sent them an email saying, looking for some voluntary work, anything will do, mugs of tea, anything that you're prepared to do. What have you got for me? Thinking, get an email back saying, "Oh, well, I'm very, very sorry, Mark, there's nothing here at the moment." But they didn't. They sent me a message back saying, "Well, we're interested in looking for new presenters. What would your show be all about? And when could you come in and do a pilot show?" And I was like, "Oh my God!" So I'd done my research and found out, what the station was all about. And because I'm a lad that was, my musical tastes was the 90s, I decided that I was going to do a show called Remembering the 90s. And I'd done that for a year. I done the show there at Eat Music for a year, and it was really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. But after about a year and a half, well, it was about a year, I would have said, decided that I wanted to move on to bigger and better things. I wanted to set a studio up at home and go freelance. Be able to go and present for a show for a station anywhere around the world if I wanted to. So I came home and I set up a mixing desk and a couple of laptops and bought a microphone, and that's where it started. That's where the love really started. I was taken on by a community station that I'm currently presenting for, down in Cornwall, Bodmin to be exact. They're called NCB Radio, and to this day I do a show on a Monday night called the Monday Night Jukebox, which is a request show where you guys at home send in your requests and I have a little bit of a chat. And that's basically me to this day. But I want to broaden my horizons. I want to get into something new, something bigger, promote myself, get out there. And it's reminded me of my time when I was back at Eat Music. And there was an engineer there called Sam Trott, lovely chap, very quiet, very laid back until I got to know him. But he said to me, one of the first times I actually met him, and he was engineering for me, he says, "Mark, have you ever thought about doing podcasting?" And I was just like, nah. In all fairness, I didn't even know what a podcast was. All I wanted to do was get on radio. I wanted to be a radio DJ. I wanted to be the Chris Moyles. I wanted to be the Chris Evans, Harold Stern, and that sort of geezer. And that was it. Podcast, brushed under the carpet, thought no more of it until just before Christmas this year. Doing a little bit of reading and found out that, podcasting was getting quite popular in the UK and around the world. It was massive. And viewing figures on my show was getting a little bit low, and I wanted to continue in radio, but I was beginning to lose the love. And I needed a new project. So I thought, right, that's it. I'm going to do some research, find out about podcasting. So for about a month up to Christmas, around that, about a month for about 5 weeks, research, went on YouTube, listened to lots of podcasts, watched video podcasts, watched podcasts on what equipment to buy, what equipment to use, and then started working out my format, what my show was going to be about. I had to then start looking at my artwork for my podcast. I had to work out who my podcast host is. There's lots of hosts out there. Where am I going to send my podcast to? And just basically done lots of general research about podcasting. Lots and lots and lots and lots of research, time, lots. Whenever I do anything, I never chuck myself right in at the deep end. I have to do my research. That's one thing that you guys will learn about me. And that's where it all started. But before I continue, can I just tell you, introduce you to my show sponsor. Now, it's not a financial sponsor. He's not a chap that pumps loads of money in my back pocket, but he's a good friend of mine from back in the Callington days when I lived in Callington. He's a chap, he's got his own company called MPC Solutions. That's Mike Papa Charlie, MPC Solutions. And what he does is he builds computers and refurbs computers and stuff like that. So if you fancy a computer being revamped, or you fancy buying a new computer, you can look him up even on the internet, MPC Solutions. He has got an eBay page, And he's called Matt Pierce, and check him out on Facebook, and he would do his darned hardest to find you a decent computer. And without Matt, in all fairness, I don't think I would be as good a sounding quality today as what I am. He hooked me up the other day with a lovely computer, a reconditioned iMac, and he's loaned me some equipment, and he's just made it a little bit easier for me. So Matthew, I'd just like to thank you very much for the support that you've given me to get this podcast up and going. Well, so I decided then that, my podcast show, I was going to do one. But the problem is like, podcast, right, what am I going to do a podcast about? I'm a 39-year-old postman, no qualifications. Don't know what I want to do in life other than radio. No real big dreams. I remember when I was a child, I wanted my ideal job was a postman. So I've already got that dream in life. The car that I wanted was a Golf Marc 4 convertible. I've got that set at the front. So I've achieved my dreams. I was a very simple child in those sense. So what was I going to do my podcast on? And I really didn't have a clue. But one thing that I do love is my county, the county of Cornwall. I'm a Cornishman, even though I'm not a Cornishman by trade, in the sense that I was born in Twickenham, up in Middlesex, but moved down here when I was 2. So even though I'm not true blood Cornishman, I do consider myself to be a Cornishman because I've lived down here near enough all my life. So what was I going to do? What was I going to do on Cornwall? Well, yeah, Cornwall's a good thing, but I can't see myself 2-3 years down the line still being able to talk about Cornwall. So I decided that what I was going to do my podcast about was, it was going to be a little bit about Cornwall, and I was going to talk about debates and topics around the world, whether it be regional, international, national. I want people to get in contact with me and tell me what they want me to do my show about. And I thought, yeah, but at the same time as that, I wanted to do a show about unsigned bands. People that are trying to get through, people that need the support, and get them to come in on my podcast and have a little bit of an interview, whether it be over Skype or over the telephone, or actually being in the studio with me and having a little bit of a chat and play some music, because I am allowed to play music as long as it's not copyrighted. So I can play a little bit of music there for you. So that was my intention. I was going to do a podcast show on Cornish things going on, topics that may be national, international or local, and play a little bit of unsigned music and interview bands. So that was what I thought. I put it out onto Facebook, said to my friends, I said, guys, what do you think about this topics? Do you think this would be a successful podcast? And loads of people come back and said, yeah, Jaff, it'd be good. But why don't you do a podcast on yourself? And I was just like, what do you mean on myself? Well, Jaff, why don't you do a podcast on yourself? You're forever. What we like about you, Jaff, is the stuff that you put up on Facebook, the stuff that goes on in your life. I'm an extrovert. I'm always having weird things happening to me. At the age of 8, I was in the Cubs, and I broke my toe playing chess. Broke my other toe playing golf. Those are the sort of things that happen in my life. I'm not the normal, everyday sort of person. And people, they were saying that, Jaff, we want to hear those things, We like the debates that you put up on Facebook, the arguments that you cause and then stir the crap and then run away, So why don't you do a podcast on yourself, on your day-to-day things that are going on? And I was just like, well, yeah, I mean, that's all well and good, but, doesn't it sound a little bit selfish? Doesn't it sound a little bit about all about me? Doesn't it sound a little bit obsessive? It's me, all about me. And they were like, well, no. So that's it. I'm decided I'm going to give you guys the opportunity to listen to me once a week for half an hour about topics related to me, stuff that's going on around the world. And I want you to get in contact with me. There's many ways that you can do that. I've got a website set up. It's www.jaff10, that is jaff10.simplesite.com. So that's jaff10.simplesite.com. And get in contact with me on my Facebook page as well, Mark Jeffrey Facebook page. or send me an email, jaff10@hotmail.com, and I want you to tell me what you want me to talk about for next week. Send in some topics that you would like me to discuss with you. Bring it out there. Now, there's one thing that I can guarantee to you now. I'm a very controversial person. I'm a very... some of the stuff that I believe in, you may not be believing in yourself. You know, I'm a very... I can't think of the word. What do they call it? Conspiracy theory. I've got loads of conspiracy theories. So some of the stuff that I may say, I can't guarantee that it will be completely right. You might have your views, and I will argue till I'm blue in the teeth about it, but we will have a bit of fun. So guys, get in contact with me through those medias and tell me what you would like to talk about next week, and I will do my very, very best to keep you entertained. But one thing I have noticed, and it's quite funny, is the fact that over the years how we have become obsessed with social media. Can you remember once upon a time you come in from work, you'd have a shower, you'd have something to eat, and you'd sit down with your missus and you'd watch the telly. Well, I don't know about you guys, but those days have sort of gone, in the sense that we sit down now, we watch the telly, but we've always got our phone in our hands. And yes, I'm terrible for it. I'm always getting told off by my girlfriend Nikki for it, for not socialising with her more and watching the telly and stuff like that. I'm always on my phone, and we've sort of got an obsession at the moment in our lives about what other people are doing. We're always wanting to know what people are doing. We've got the old Facebook Live that's come about now, and we're always sitting there watching what other people are doing. And people are getting on Facebook now. They're doing their own little podcasts. Have you noticed that? Every day, their own little podcast, telling the world a little bit about themselves and what they've been up to. And it's good. I kind of think it's good. But we have got that obsession. And is it a good thing? I don't know. So that's what I need to know from you guys. You know, what do you want me to talk about? And we'll keep this going. So we're here now, 2017. And I think it is a good time in my life to start a podcast. I'm stable, got a nice house, 2 lovely children, a beautiful girlfriend. Things are good. And it is time for me to get that ball rolling. I mean, podcasts have been going now for about, 10, 12 years. And I didn't want to be one of those people that thought, if I don't do one, it could be too late. And like I said before, I'm one of these people that always have to write scripts and read from it and all that sort of stuff. But tonight I sat down and I said, no, I'm not doing that. I'm putting my foot down and I'm going to do this podcast. So where I am now, things might change. I warn you, things might change. This is my first show, and I guarantee it will get better. I guarantee I won't ramble as much. But if I do, get in contact with me and tell me. But 2017, what am I going to be doing in 2017? Well, I've decided that there's a few things that I need to change, a few goals in my life that I need to achieve. The first one being friends. I've always been an extrovert, been a very sociable person, but over the last 5 years, I've pushed my friends to one side. And Nikki said to me, "Well, why don't you go and have a pint with your friends?" And I'm like, I can't be asked. Guys, we've got to get out there. We've got to see our friends. Life's too short. Family, I've got to put my phone down. I've got to spend more time with my family. Stuff like tonight when I'm doing my podcast. Don't do that when the children are around. Do it when they're in bed. Spend more time with my partner and my family. And another thing as well is do things that today instead of leaving them till tomorrow. So this podcast, I've been planning it now since before Christmas, and the aim was to get it out by the end of February. But no, I've decided no, don't. Do it today. You've got 5 minutes now. Do it today. And also, I tend to do too much. So I've decided to cut down on a few things that I do and concentrate on doing the stuff that I do, doing them well. All right? So not taking on any new projects this year. So that's what I'm going to be doing. And what I want to do for you now is I want to play, before I go into my music and my interests and stuff like that, I'm going to play you a song now. It's by a couple of local lads from a town about 10 minutes, 15 minutes away from us, a small town called Callington. and I'm going to play you a song of theirs. I'm going to let you listen to it, and then afterwards I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. Okay? So here it is. Check it out.
Get the bottles out. Yeah, get the bottles out. M-R-C-T, pull it in with the scratch. Mr. Rich and the Caretaker. You know how we do in the West Country. Let's get on this. The Colonel MC, on this for sure. Get the bottles all pouring. Yeah! I'm a fun-loving hell of a guy that gets down. You a fun-loving hell of a woman to have around. Get your knees up, wiggle and bounce. I love it when you say my last name you can't pronounce. We in the Wild West Country, the drinks are drawn, and with a banjo playing the rhythm of pronghorn. Brandy, rum, cider at 10 in the morning. Better put your cups high, get the bottles all pouring. So raise your glasses, stick it up. Let that head down and start kicking up that dust. So raise your glasses, stick it up. We all ready for fun, the hold up the gun, my friends ready to jump. Stick 'em up, stick 'em up. Stick 'em up, stick 'em up. Stick 'em up, stick 'em up. Stick 'em up, the fun loving criminal. I'm thinking we could do it all summer, we could do it all year. Me and you can go do it, I've been saying all year. And the blondes in the eyes like the spark in the fire. With the wild ones, all we do it with no fear. We make them shake, and we get them shook, and we turn them straight over like the back of the book. Smoke filling up the air, better get another drink. Fill them up to the top, then make them go clink. So raise your glasses, stick it up. Let that head down and start kicking up that dust. So raise your glasses, stick it up. We all ready for fun, the hold up the gun, my friends ready to jump. Stick 'em up, stick 'em up. Stick 'em up, stick 'em up. Stick 'em up, stick 'em up. Stick 'em up, the fun loving criminal. Yeah, you gotta keep 'em up high.
Dreams with dreams, murder on your spleen. Living in a dream, do you know what I mean? Go T to D, smart like John Steed. I steal your girlie and I steal
now,
your weed.
I can steal your woman, I can steal your weed. I can steal those lyrics like I stole this beat. When the party's still jumping and I get that need. Who the ones making people say, yeah, that's sweet. Mr. Rich in the mix, Caretaker got the vibe. Colonel MC, killing the rhythm every time. I'm a son of a gun, we all ready for fun. The hold down's begun, my people ready to jump, so stick 'em up.
Stick 'em up, stick 'em up.
Stick 'em up, and keep 'em up high.
Stick 'em up, stick 'em up.
Raise 'em up, and raise 'em up high.
Stick 'em up, stick 'em up.
Stick 'em up, and stick 'em up high.
Stick 'em up, the fun loving criminal.
Get 'em up.
So there you go. What do you think about that then? That was the song was called "Stick 'Em Up" with "Stick 'Em Up Funk," and the band are called Mr. Rich and the Caretaker. And the two guys that are involved, the two guys that are in the band, are Dan Howell and Jules. Now I think he's pronounced Fran. And they were a duo from Callington, which is a small town in Cornwall, and they started making mashups of tunes from the era of the 80s and 90s, and they found a new genre coming out of Bristol called ghetto funk, which was a mixture of hip-hop, funk, soul and electronic blended together. So for the last 2 and a bit years, Dan said to me, they've been remixing and restoring tunes to make people's heads nod. That's pretty cool, isn't it? reformatting their own sort of music, really. And he continues with a lot of other stuff. But I'm not going to go into too much details about that because I want these guys on my show, and I want you to meet them, and I want you to interact with them. So that's about enough that I'm going to say about them at the moment, and I'm going to start talking a little bit about my taste in music. This whole podcast session tonight is basically for the people that don't know me, a chance to get to know me. And a lot of you may already be bored at the moment, and you've probably turned it off already, but I hope not. I hope you give me the chance, and if you do think it's boring, give podcasting a go yourself, and get on the microphone. It's not an expensive thing to do, and give it a go yourself. Give it a go. There's people out there that want to listen to what you've got to say. And the way I look at it is podcasting, it's an interesting media, and I don't intend to be doing this or radio presenting to be a millionaire. I don't expect thousands and thousands and thousands of people to be listening to this podcast. And in all fairness, this podcast is pilot show. I've started off by giving it to 5 people, 5 close friends and family, and asked them, what do you think? It may not even get aired, this. They might come back to me and say, Jeff, that was utter tosh. Shut up. Just shut up. And start talking rubbish. It might not even get aired. You may not even ever hear this. And like I say, what I've read is that this first show, I don't intend on getting thousands and thousands of listeners. I'll be surprised if one person listens to it. Nobody listens to the first 7 podcasts, statistics say. So that's what I'm saying, guys. If you fancy setting up a podcast, just get out and do it. Don't worry about what it sounds like. You can do a podcast on your mobile phone. Just get out there and set it up. Get the ball rolling. And when you do start getting listeners, that's the time to start changing your format. That's the research I've done. That's what I'm sticking by. So, guys, my tip for tonight is get involved. Get it sorted. And if you fancy having a little bit of help, I'll do my best to help you, or if you fancy being a radio presenter, get in contact with me, jaff10@hotmail.com, and I will do my very, very best to help you. I can't guarantee I'll make you multi-millionaire, but you never know. It might happen. So, where did music start for me? I'm going to quickly give you a little bit about it before I shut you off. Where did music start for me? It started way, way, way back. My first single I ever bought was a bit of Adam Ant. Ant Rap, it was called, on vinyl. But I'd like to talk to you about my taste in music. I'm like 90s Indian dance music is what I like, and a bit of hip-hop. Big hip-hop fan. But the bands that stick out mainly in my life are Britpop Suede, the band Suede, the band The Verve, Oasis, Smiths, Kasabian, all of those sort of things. And the first gig that I ever went to, believe it or not, was up at the Milton Keynes Bowl. And I got a ticket for a Bon Jovi concert. It cost me 20 quid. And I got there at 1 o'clock in the afternoon to see the Manic Street Preachers come on. Then Billy Idol come on. Little Angels were there. And the grand finale for 2 hours before a fireworks show was Bon Jovi. And that was my first ever gig. Absolute cracker of a gig. Thoroughly enjoyed it. And I never went to a concert after that, other than a few little gigs down the Eden Project. I saw Kasabian and The Verve, which was probably the best gig I've ever seen, to be fair, until 2010. And in 2010, that was the year of my love of festivals started. I absolutely love festivals. Every year I have to go to a festival now, just because I went to this Glastonbury, and I started with style. Not many people manage to go to Glastonbury Music Festival, but I went there with the intention. I said to Nikki, look, darling, I'm going to go to this festival. I'm getting old now, and just to say that I've done it, and that's it. Well, I went there. I've since been there again, and I go to make sure that I go to a festival now every single year. And the first band that I saw at Glastonbury was the Magic Numbers, believe it or not. But over the years, that is my love for music. Festivals, you cannot beat live music. And this year I'm going to a festival that I go to every year, which is Kendal Calling, up in the Lake District. Beautiful settings of Penrith. And this year the headline acts are Stereophonics. Who else we got there? We've got Franz Ferdinand on the Thursday night. We've got Tinchy Snyder. Who else is up there? Stereophonic. Manic Street Preachers. They're up there. And check out their page, their Facebook page, Kendall Calling, and see what they're all about. It's an absolutely beautiful, beautiful thing. But guys, I'm on about 25 minutes now. My first ever podcast is near enough done. And I've really enjoyed it. And I hope you guys have enjoyed it as well. I hope I haven't rabbited on too much. And I hope that you will join me again for my next podcast. I'm going to try and get it so I do a podcast at least once a week. And I will try and get it so it comes out the same time every week, because that's what I do believe it should be like. And I promise you that I will get a bit of format involved in my show, so it's not going to be talking about me all the time. We will have some debates, we will have some arguments, we will have some falling outs, but I'm kind of looking forward to that. So like I say, you get in contact with me, email me, jaff10, that's JAFF10 @hotmail.com. You get on my Facebook page, Marc Jeffrey. I've also got a Facebook page called Monday Night Jukebox. Check that out. Or get on my my website and check out back, pre-recorded shows, from my catalogue. And that is www.jaff10.simplesite.com. And check what I'm all about. Come and see me. Come and see what I'm all about. But I look forward, guys, to seeing you next time and doing this all over again. So until next time, this is Marc Jeffrey for the Marc Jeffrey podcast show, 8th of February. Cheers and gone.